She was decked out in a neon pink blazer and a name tag that screamed Susan, HOA president. Even though we were 3,000 miles from our neighborhood, standing in the middle of Tampa International Airport at 5:47 a.m., I was juggling my 6-year-old daughter, Lily's frozen medical cooling bag, the one that keeps her emergency seizure medication below 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Then this woman I had never seen in my life marched straight up in the TSA line and barked, "That bag is oversized, and you didn't declare it. Hand it over." My stomach dropped. Lily's already pale face tightened. Early flight, loud announcements, crowds. The sensory overload was pushing her toward seizure. I clutched the bright blue cooler closer. "Ma'am, this is prescribed medical equipment. It's exempt. I have the paperwork right here." "I know the rules better than you," I said. She snapped, reaching to yank the strap from my shoulder. People around us were starting to stare. Lily whimpered, clutching my leg. That's when Susan made her first mistake. She raised her voice so the entire Zone 3 could hear. "If you don't comply, I'll have you removed from this flight." Heat rushed to my face. This wasn't our HOA gazebo. This was a major airport. And yet, here she was, chest puffed, finger pointed, the same self-righteous attitude she used when she fined us $200 for Lily's medical stroller cluttering the sidewalk. Except now she was threatening medication my daughter literally could not survive without. A TSA agent in a crisp blue shirt noticed the commotion and started walking over. Susan saw him and doubled down, flashing a laminated card like a badge. "I'm with Airport Community Relations," she lied. "This woman is holding up the line with an unauthorized item." I opened my mouth, but the agent held up a hand. Calmly, he asked, "Ma'am, is that a medical cooling device or medication?" I nodded, unzipping it just enough to show labeled vials and the doctor's letter on top. He scanned the paperwork in seconds, then turned to Susan with the smallest, coldest federal employee smile I've ever seen. "Ma'am, step out of line, please." Susan's face turned from pink to crimson. "Do you know who I am?" "I know you're not pre-check, and you're not an officer," he cut in. 2 more agents appeared, escorting her sputtering toward a side table. He looked back at me and Lily, whose lower lip was trembling, and said, "You're cleared for pre-check the rest of the year, courtesy of TSA Cares. Go on through the fast lane. No need to remove anything." I was shaking as we walked away, Lily's tiny hand squeezing mine until her knuckles went white. I thought it was over. A random airport Karen. Story closed. I was wrong. 20 minutes later, while we were putting shoes back on after pre-check, the overhead speaker crackled. "Passenger Susan M. Whitaker, please return to the security checkpoint immediately. Your boarding privileges have been revoked pending secondary screening." Lily looked up at me with wide eyes. "Mommy, is the mean lady in trouble?" I hugged her tight, heart hammering. "Yeah, baby, the mean lady is in a lot of trouble." What nobody knew yet was why Susan had fixated on us in the first place. Why she'd risked her flight, her dignity, maybe even her freedom, to get her hands on a 6-year-old's medical cooling bag. That reason was about to turn the entire terminal upside down before we even reached gate E64. We had barely sat down, Lily's little legs swinging from the chair, when I heard it. The clacking of those same hot pink heels stomping toward us like a missile locked on target. Susan had somehow made it through security after all, except her blazer was inside out. Her hair looked like it had lost a fight with a wind tunnel, and her eyes were wild, far past normal anger. She stopped 2 feet away, pointed a shaking finger, and announced to the entire gate, "That child is carrying unprescribed controlled substances. I demand a federal agent remove that bag immediately." Half the waiting area went silent. Phones came out. Lily buried her face in my side. I stood up slowly, shielding her. "Susan, you already lost at security. Walk away." But she wasn't listening. She lunged faster than I thought a 50-something HOA queen could move and ripped the cooling bag off my shoulder. The zipper burst open as it hit the floor. Vials of midazolam rolled everywhere. One cracked. Lily screamed. That's when Susan did something that made my blood freeze. She dropped to her knees, grabbed the broken vial, and tried to pocket it, muttering, "Finally! Finally!" A Delta Gate agent sprinted over with 2 airport police. I scooped Lily up, heart hammering, yelling, "That's her medication. She needs it." Susan shot her hand up like she was hailing a cab. "I'm a licensed medical professional. This medication is scheduled and clearly tampered with." Licensed medical professional. The taller officer knelt, picked up the cracked vial, read the label, then looked at me. "Ma'am, is this prescribed to the child?" I handed him the TSA cleared paperwork with shaking fingers. He scanned it, frowned, and turned to Susan. "Ma'am, you just assaulted a passenger and destroyed prescribed medication in front of 50 witnesses. Put your hands behind your back." Susan's face crumpled into pure panic. She tried to bolt, didn't make 3 steps before both officers had her pinned against a pillar. Phones were out, people filming openly. Someone started slow clapping. As they cuffed her, Susan screamed the most unhinged string of words I've ever... "You don't understand. That little brat's medicine is worth 20 grand on the dark web. I only needed 1 vial to pay off the association lawsuit." The entire gate gasped in unison. 20 grand. Dark web. Association lawsuit. My legs felt like they'd turned to jelly. Lily was sobbing into my neck, asking why the lady wanted to sell her OE medicine. I couldn't answer. I just held her tighter while Susan ranted, mascara streaking down her face like war paint. Then the officer holding her bag pulled out a second, identical cooling case, bright pink with an HOA logo sticker, stuffed with dozens of the exact same vials, all unlabeled, all obviously stolen. He looked straight at the camera someone was holding and announced loud enough for the world to hear, "Looks like we got ourselves a serial medication thief flying with a suitcase full of Schedule 4 narcotics." Susan's knees buckled. For the first time all morning, she had nothing to say. Airport police hauled her away as paramedics arrived to document Lily's destroyed dose and issue an emergency replacement. The gate agent personally escorted us to the front of the plane and upgraded us to first class on behalf of Delta and every decent human being there that morning. I thought the nightmare was over. I was so wrong. 6 hours later, we landed in Seattle, and 2 FBI agents were waiting at the jet bridge. And they weren't there for Susan. They were there for me. They wanted to know why every vial in Susan's pink cooler had my daughter's name on the prescription label, and why the lot numbers matched a shipment that had disappeared from our local children's hospital 3 weeks prior. The same 3 weeks Susan had been visiting her sick mother out of state. I looked down at Lily, happily sipping apple juice in first class, completely unaware that the real reason that monster had targeted us in Tampa had nothing to do with HOA rules or oversized bags. It was because I was a pharmacist who signed a theft report that could send Susan to federal prison for 20 years. The FBI agents were polite, almost gentle. One knelt to Lily's level and asked if she wanted a sticker badge. She chose a shiny gold star and stuck it crookedly on her unicorn shirt. That tiny normal moment almost broke me. Then the taller agent, Special Agent Ruiz, looked at me and said the words that turned the entire day upside down. "Mrs. Harper, we need you to come with us. You're not in trouble, but the woman you know as Susan Whitaker has been running a black market midazolam ring for 18 months. And 3 weeks ago, she stole an entire refrigerated crate addressed to you at Children's Hospital. Every vial in her luggage has your DA number on the custom label." My knees buckled. An airport wheelchair appeared out of nowhere. Someone pushed me into it, while Lily climbed onto my lap, like I was a child and she was a parent. I whispered, "That's impossible. I never order that quantity. I only keep 4 vials on hand for Lily." Ruiz's partner pulled up a photo on a tablet. The original shipping manifest signed by me, dated 3 weeks prior, for 400 vials of emergency seizure medication for a compassionate use program I'd never heard of. In the corner was a perfect forgery of my signature next to Susan's real name, Dr. Susan Marie Whitaker, former Florida Board of Pharmacy member, disbarred for diverting narcotics. She hadn't been our HOA president for fun. She moved into our neighborhood 6 months earlier for one reason: to get close to me, the pediatric pharmacist controlling the only local supply of a new temperature-stable midazolam formulation about to hit the market at $5,000 a vial on the dark web. The fines, the sidewalk stroller complaints, the constant fuss over Lily's medical equipment, all surveillance. She needed to know exactly when I left the house, how many vials I carried, which cooler I used, and even what time Lily's seizures occurred. That morning in Tampa wasn't random. Susan booked the same 6:30 a.m. flight, planning to sit 3 rows behind us, wait for Lily to have a seizure mid-flight, and swoop in to administer one of her stolen vials, keeping the rest as evidence that would never reach the destination. Only Lily didn't seize. So Susan panicked and tried Plan B, ripped the bag away at the TSA line, and disappeared with $200,000 worth of medication. The FBI had been tracking her for months. My theft report was a final piece securing a warrant. When TSA flagged her erratic behavior and filmed the assault on me, the case went from surveillance to arrest in 90 seconds flat. Agent Ruiz closed his notebook and offered the softest smile of the day. Dr. Whitaker is facing federal trafficking charges, minimum 20 years. Your report saved hundreds of kids who would have lost access to this drug if her shipments had continued to vanish. You're a hero, Mrs. Harper. Lily tugged my sleeve. Mommy, does this mean the mean lady won't take my OE medicine anymore? I kissed the top of her curly head, tears finally falling. Never again, baby. Never again. They let us go home that night. The hospital overnight, a new cooler. Delta sent flowers and a 10-year pre-check membership for the whole family. The neighborhood HOA dissolved itself in shame the next morning. Susan had been embezzling dues to fund her habit. Every night, when I tucked Lily in, I still checked the locks twice. But now I sleep knowing the real monster wasn't hiding under the bed. She was hiding behind a neon pink blazer and laminated name tag. Thinking rules were power. Turns out the only rule that mattered was the one the TSA agent spoke that morning. You picked the wrong kid to mess with. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe. Every subscription motivates me to bring you more dramatic HOA justice tales. Don't forget the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. I'll see you in the next story, where justice gets even sweeter.